What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk Packers tonight. It's Bengals week. Obviously, it's Wednesday, October the 8th. Really excited about diving into the PFF preview. We're going to show you some of the players on the Bengals roster that are kind of I don't know. We got a couple that are dominating forces, one on offense, one on defense, to be honest with you. Now, it takes more than just two players on a team of 53 or 48 or whatever the active man roster is to get the job done every Sunday, or any given Sunday, I should say. But I'll tell you, man, the Bengals, they've got a little bit of talent there. Are they playing up to that talent? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to hit on the injury report. We get all kinds of updates from the injury report. It's a long list. I feel like most of it is good news. And obviously, Devontae Wyatt, we'll try to read between the lines to see exactly what's going on there, whether he will play or not. Right now, it seems like we're leaning in the opposite direction of having Devontae Wyatt play. So we'll dive into all of that, as well as the chat, any super chats we get rolling through here on YouTube as well. Before we do that YouTube stuff for me real quick. It's greatly appreciated. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We are fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily. So if you're looking for content geared around the Packers, film breakdown, pre-game shows, post-game shows, live streams, all that good stuff, make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we do go live. Gents, what's going on? How we doing?
Ready to go.
I'm good. I had a pizza party today at work.
The hell, y'all 12 years old? What's going on?
Smooths everything. Anytime there's anything that any negativity, just buy these people pizza and everything goes good. I'm telling you.
Where did I see that? Well, that was on The Office, wasn't it? Remember, he got pizza down there in the.
Do you want a medium amount of good pizza or a small amount of really good?
I was actually watching that episode earlier tonight, so that's hilarious, man. But hopefully everybody's having a great day out there. If y'all would hit that like button. Emilio may be joining us shortly. Obviously, we went live a little bit earlier. I'm going to probably start doing this as we get a little deeper into the fall and the early winter months. We'll start going live at 6 p.m. Central as opposed to 6:30. As Jen Wright said, Emilio resting up too. LOL. Yeah, Emilio's out there working like a dog. He's trying to get back in the swing of things, I think, man. Tim, you know how it is, dude. You come down with a little illness and then next thing you know, man, it's all right, I'm over it now, but my body's still going, Bub, we've been drag assing for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We ain't ready for this.
That energy is always the last thing to come back, right? You finally get through the worst of it, and then you're just waiting to catch up. But he's still a young buck. I bet you Emilio's doing all right. Hopefully he'll join us tonight a little bit.
Oh, he'll be fine, man. He'll be fine. Speaking of young bucks and getting back into the swing of things, this guy right here back on the practice field.
Here's the guy.
Ash and I have been tweeting out Christian Watson in pads. So our boy out there, guys, it looks like there's no limitations with him. We've talked about it. No brace, no sleeve. None of these clips you go, a little ginger there. They're holding him back. It seems like he's going 100%. You guys correct me if I'm wrong there. Now, question is, how aggressive do you get this Sunday? Do you even activate him? Or do you kind of hold out and say, you know what, let's sit him one more week and let's maybe bring him out of the stable, I guess you could say, out of the bullpen there against the Arizona Cardinals on the road. What's your all's take on that? How do we feel about Scoot? Do you want to see him out there against the Bengals, or would you rather let's play this safe here?
I say if he's out there against Cincy, it should be extremely limited. You're talking about the snap count of all snap counts, really watching him. But I'm not entirely opposed to him suiting up and getting some reps just to get some, game speed play for the first time in, almost a year. I think it'd be nice to kind of pepper him in a little bit, but we can't afford to overdo it. I like what Jen Wright's saying there. Give me 5 to 10 snaps, get the wheels turning a little bit, and, then take them out and get them ready for Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I just, watching his press conference, he really does seem like that he's confident in it. He kept reiterating, like, it's 100%. Like, I feel like I'm good to go. But that being said, we've learned kind of the lesson of having a guy come back maybe a week or two too early. It seems like it's kind of bit us in the butt very recently, multiple different times with multiple different players. I saw a stat today, I thought, of Marshawn Lloyd and him, just his career so far. He has like 10 snaps in like 21 missed games or whatever the heck it was since we've drafted him. So we got to be a little careful, I think, with just trying to force him back out there. He's a guy that is an absolute game changer. I like what Ben's saying there. Use him as a decoy, and those 5 to 10 snaps can be a very kind of integral chess match right there, where you put him on the field and the guy's, Clayton, what do you always talk about at X receivers where the defense has to dictate coverage to cover that guy?
Yep.
I feel like that you could use him sparingly and have guys just like the fact that he's even on the field, they have to take notice and at least be a distraction. So I think that's
Yeah.
good.
And typically Christian will play Z, right? So let's say that you march him out there in his normal spot as a decoy and you put him at the Z. And now you've got Matthew Golden in the F, which is typically the slot, the moving slot, right? And that would be Jaden Reed's typical position, right? You got Romeo in the X, you got Dontavion Wicks coming off the bench. And then when, of course, you take Christian Watson off the field, because if he does play, he's going to play limited snaps. I think we would all agree with that. When you pull him off the field, you move Golden to the Z, and now you can decide, do we want Wicks? And it depends on the matchup. What matchup do you like? Do you like Wicks against a specific corner for the Bengals? If that's the case, maybe you put him at the X and put Romeo in the slot, which we've seen quite a bit last week, Tim. We talked about that for Chalk Talk. You know, you've seen Romeo actually play a little F and a little moving Z, which was, I don't want to say it's surprising. We knew he could do it, but it was pretty wild to see them actually follow through with that, I thought. So if you're going to put Christian out there as a decoy, if you put him on the field side on the Z, I think that might draw a little coverage away from the X, and maybe you can really lean on Romeo and let Christian get his feet under him a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think it's a testament to the depth we have in this receiver room, allowing, Matt LaFleur to be able to move some pieces around like that. And I think you're right. I think we all had the faith that Romeo could play there, but seeing him do it is another thing, right? And I think with Scoot coming back, whatever you got to do to try and draw some coverage and make things easier, that's the kind of role you're going to want him to have, especially, early on, getting his legs under him,
Yep. Jen Wright says here, Jacob, let Tucker Kraft eat. That's the other thing too, man. You run a couple clear out routes and just kind of lean on Tucker a little bit. The Tuesday player on defense, surprise, surprise, nobody's going to be surprised, is Trey Hendrickson, right? Now, how do you neutralize Trey Hendrickson? One of two ways. You can either double him, right, with the chip, or just a straight up double team block. And I'm sure they'll move him around a little bit to try to do the same thing that Cleveland does with Myles Garrett. Or, Jacob, what you could do is get that ball out of your hand quick. And to me, the best way to do that is come out in a trips left look, or a trips right look, or a Trey right look, stretch the field with the Z and the X, and then run a little mini slot cross, meaning maybe a block and release with Tucker Kraft on a shallow cross or a drag route, and then have a climb or a dig with the F, whether it's Matthew Golden, Roman that spot, whoever, and just kind of work the middle of the field underneath. Their linebacking core looks pretty weak to me. Their safeties seem to be the strong point of their defense, which we'll talk about here in a second. What do you think about that with getting Tucker Kraft going? And I don't know if you've got any early numbers on that or not, Jacob. I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I know sometimes you're in tune with the over-unders. But what do you think about Tucker?
I mean, I haven't seen his over-under specifically for this game. It usually changes quite a bit at this point of the week, but I do think that is. I mean, we've seen from Tucker Kraft I think he is a more versatile all-around tight end than people give him credit for. He's, I believe, a really good blocker. He's good inline if you want to split him out, and he's shown that he can make kind of acrobatic catches as well. So, I've seen him hit the seam, you know what I mean? The out routes, he can seemingly do everything, but I like him to do some more of that kind of picking apart the underneath stuff. I do also think that it could be a game. I feel like we keep saying this over and over. Like, if they want to focus in on taking Tucker away, then it is a time where maybe Golden gets another, chance to kind of use some of the separation he's been getting that we just haven't quite gotten to click. So it's like pick your poison type thing. I also want to see Jacobs maybe doing more catching out of the backfield. I think that is just so underrated that, they never did it with him in the Raiders. And I think if we could get that going, it takes a little pressure off Jordan feeling like he has to force the ball down the field. He has that little cutoff valve kind of thing. But I do think that Tucker is going to be a big part of this game. I'm excited about it.
Deadfish in the chat says, let's activate a D tackle from the practice squad and rest Watson and White. And for me, obviously, be Warren Brinson's the guy that now he's not on the practice squad, but I don't think he's been active in any games yet, right, Tim? If I'm remembering correctly. So if that's the case, let Warren Brinson play. I think there's like a 5% chance that Devontae Wyatt plays. I think it just feels like they're not going to try to rush that until Arizona. And even then, is there any swelling in the knee? And do you want him to fly across the country to Arizona? So I could be wrong here. We may look up on Sunday and he be active, right? I don't have any inside information, but on the surface, Tim, I think you gotta kind of sit Wyatt.
Yeah, I would agree. There's, have we learned our lesson yet? I mean, look at Zach Tom with the oblique. It's the same thing. We got to let Wyatt. We know he's week to week, right? So if he needs another week, then yeah, we got to. It's going to be defensive line by committee against the Bengals, and I would definitely anticipate a heavy rotation, regardless.
Dude, real quick, just because do you think that there is, I don't want to call it like an issue or I guess more maybe a pattern if you look at, guys like Marshawn Lloyd, Scoot, obviously Zach Tom, going back to Bakhtiari, Jair, just people being, I don't know if we're necessarily forcing them to come back, but just allowing them maybe all these guys are so competitive that they want to come back, and it should be somebody's almost like the dad, you know what I mean, scenario where it's like, no, you got to sit this one out. You got to wait. Just having more patience of letting these guys come back too quickly. Do you think there's anything there, or is that just kind of, people just get injured?
It depends on who you talk to, right? I mean, some people think the Packers are overly conservative with
that's what I'm saying is I've heard both sides, and it's weird because
I completely agree. That's exactly where I was going with that, Tim, is like one side of the fan base talks about how they're way too conservative. The other side, which I tend to fall into the aggressive side. Like, that Christian Watson thing last year should never have happened. It should have never happened. They should have said, thank you, Christian. Your teammates love you. We know you want to be out here, but hell no, you're not going out there and playing in this meaningless game against the Bears.
Same thing with Zach Tom this year.
Yeah. So as Jen Wright said, Tom looks better in practice. I think that was according to maybe Wes Hykowitz, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. And again, this is probably the game where you can afford to sit a couple of these guys. I want to be very clear. That doesn't mean this is a slam dunk win. It doesn't. But if there's any team on the roster that's not named the Carolina Panthers that you can afford to sit a couple players, it's probably the Cincinnati Bengals. And, especially at the detriment of worrying, are we going to lose these players for an extended period of time because you're being too aggressive? And obviously we dealt with this last year with Jordan Love battling 3 different injuries at the same time throughout the season. He's looked a lot better this year, got off to a hot start. Matt Schneidman tweeted out this video from the locker room earlier today. Let's see what QB1 had to say.
Yeah, no, I think I've got off to a great start. I think that's obviously it's me, and it takes everybody on the offense to do that. Blocking, receivers, so everybody making plays. But I think there's still just room to keep improving, keep trying to be as consistent. I still think there's a couple misses out there. Obviously the turnover is a big one in that Cleveland game. Wish I can get that one back, but good stuff. Just keep building on and keep executing at a high level. But you do some good stuff. Teams are going to try and find ways to stop that. So we just got to keep executing, keep finding ways to go out there and be our best on offense.
And it seems like Jordan is in a real good spot, Tim. I mean, this guy. He's off to a great start. I seen this come down the wire earlier today. Fox NFL had tweeted it out, and it was from DraftKings Sportsbook. Jordan Love has the 4th best odds to win NFL MVP right now. As it sits, Josh Allen in first place at a plus 150. Second place, Patrick Mahomes at a plus 400. Third, Baker Mayfield at a plus 800. And then tied for 4th is Matthew Stafford and Jordan Love at a plus 1,200 with Jared Goff right behind them at a 6th, in the 6th place at a plus 1,500. Everybody had the same reaction you guys did to Patrick Mahomes being second on this list. Boys, this is Vegas, okay? They know what the hell they're doing. I'm telling you, it's easy for all of us to laugh, and I seen it too and went, what? But at the end of the year, do not be surprised that Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden has the Kansas City Chiefs playing decent football, and he's in the hunt for MVP. It happens all the time with these type of lists.
Patrick Mahomes.
The fact that Jordan Love, though, is tied for 4th is really, really exciting. I mean, it was this time last year. I'm trying to think exactly how the year started, but I do know there was pockets of points last year where the fan base was like, I don't think Jordan Love's the guy. I don't think he's the guy. We went from this dude was arguably the best quarterback in the second half of 2023 to all of a sudden he might not be the guy back to he's an MVP candidate. So what's your all's thoughts on that odds list there, man?
Good, Jacob.
I'm very excited about it. I think that like you just said, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to get a lot of attention no matter what he does. He could literally, I mean, what was it that Chris Collinsworth call where he fumbled it and then got it back or threw an interception and like recovered the fumble that they happened to like luckily get back, and he's like, oh, you made such a great play there, and it's like, all right, whatever. I do think that Baker's playing a hell of a season. I think Josh Allen's maybe a little bit overrated. So I really do like Jordan Love's odds right now. And I just think that he's going to have an opportunity. If he just keeps playing smart football and not turning that ball over, I think the offense is going to keep clicking and he's going to start racking up more games where he's probably a 300 plus 3-tud type games. And I think that if he starts using his legs even more, that's going to increase his odds quite exponentially of just putting up the sort of stats that would dictate worthiness of an MVP. And just real quick, just because you mentioned it, Clayton, I think that Tucker Kraft's over under right now is at 43.5. So, but that could increase a little bit and decrease depending on what's happening. But I don't know, Tim, what do you think? I like those odds right now, and people literally are still bashing his name. He's tied for fourth. Like, just put that in perspective. Again, we talked about it a little bit last night. Certain sector of the fan base just wants to be negative. Jordan Love is tied for fourth in MVP rankings, or what do you call it? Odds right now. That's insane.
Right.
Yeah, I think that maybe one of the reasons is we're coming off a loss and a tie. We haven't won a ball.
You're not
game.
saying fans are emotional.
We haven't won a ball game in a while though, and you look at everybody else on this list aside from Mahomey. Everyone else is winning ball games too. Those teams are winning. Baker Mayfield's playing at the highest level I think we've ever seen him play in his career, which is crazy because he's like a fine wine getting better with age, right? But I think it's just great to see Jordan in this conversation, and I would anticipate maybe the odds increasing even a little bit more as the season progresses if we can put a win streak together here coming out of the bye week. But bottom line, he is playing good football, and you can tell he's right there, right, Clayton? He's like right at the cusp of that upper echelon level of quarterback play that we know he's capable of. So I think it's just a matter of how we're going to handle this next chunk of games here as we get into the nitty gritty of the season.
Yeah, and listen, you got a top 10 quarterback, you got a shot to win a Super Bowl. That's the way I see it. And if he's top 5, you got a real good shot. If he somehow, some way finishes in the top 3, there better be some other glaring issues on your team being the reason that you didn't win the Super Bowl. I mean, there's got to be. So love the shot, love the chances that we got here with Jordan Love at the helm. United Bates says Dak probably should be in that list, not Mahomes. Completely agree with that, Bates. Completely agree with that. So, and of course, Matthew Stafford got 2 of the best receivers in the game right now, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. So obviously he's putting up good numbers too as well. I'm positive on that. So let's go back to the injury report. We kind of got away from it, but I just wanted to hit on those MVP odds since we had that Jordan clip. I thought that was interesting. So the full injury report. All right. Here is what we've got, gang. I always suck at trying to get this zoomed in. Hopefully that's good enough. But Aaron Banks, limited participation with the groin. Anthony Belton did not participate with the ankle. Kingsley Enagbare limited with the ankle. Nate Hobbs limited with the concussion. Tucker Kraft with the elbow, full participation. Jordan Love, full participation with the left thumb / ankle. Ankle is interesting. I didn't know he had an ankle issue. Brandon McManus, right quadricep, limited. Jacob Monk, hamstring, limited. Jordan Morgan, full participation, so he seems to be good to go. Zach Tom with the oblique was limited. Rasheed Walker limited with the quadricep. Christian Watson limited with the knee. Savion Williams with the groin was limited. And Devontae Wyatt with the knee did not participate. So essentially what you got is 2 players that did not participate. That's Anthony Belton and Devontae Wyatt, and a whole bunch of limiteds here. So if those are the 2 guys that you're going to be missing on Sunday, I feel pretty good about our chances against the Bengals. You're going to miss Wyatt. Don't get me wrong. I think what you'll see, though, I ran the numbers earlier today, and I want to say they run 11 personnel 75% of the time, maybe 75 or 78% of the time. It's in the game plan on our Patreon group if you guys want to check that out. And I'm going to continue to add to that game plan as we go later into the week. But what that means is you're probably going to see more cheetah package. So I imagine in the 3-tech, what you're looking for is you're looking to get LVN in that 3-tech when you march your cheetah package out there. If you guys don't know what cheetah is, it's when they put LVN in a 3-tech, which is typically an edge defender, but now he's going to be playing in between the guard and the tackle. And then on each edge, you've got Rashawn Gary and Michael Parsons. So, that's how it looks right now. Again, to me, this just screams Devontae Wyatt's not going to play. Anything else grab your all's attention on the Packers side of this injury report?
Escalade, man. Big Escalade. It's sad that he's not participating. I wonder how serious that ankle is going to be for him. I feel like he's a guy that could really help our O-line, especially on that right side. But we'll see.
Yeah,
All right.
I was just gonna say I hate the sheer number that's there after a bye.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that look maybe a fraction of what that is. And just to Tim's point, seeing Aaron Banks, Belton, seeing Monk, Morgan, Tom,
How about our
Walker.
kicker with a right quad injury, kicking
Yeah,
leg? That me no
that's
likey
not
that.
great. That's not great at all.
Arbasachi.
Oh man, that's funny.
Uh,
To be fair, actually, just real quick while you brought that up, today I think I listened to Matt's press conference. If I don't, it was either from today or yesterday, but it really did kind of put in perspective what we've talked about. Where I've been more kind of on somebody needs to be held responsible for how bad we've been playing. But it just is. When you break it down, you can see where the players made the mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you always say they didn't tell him to go out there and just whiff on a dude and let him, block the kick. That's not how we draw it up on the board. And it for whatever reason, it did click the way that Matt kind of described it, because it was like, yeah, like that's not, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, kind of thing. So I think we just maybe.
And here's another good example. Joe says, hopefully Halfley remembers, oh, yeah, I can bring Cooper and Quay on a blitz. See, I seen the game totally different last week. I seen them blitz when I felt like they shouldn't have, and we got burned for a explosive play. So it's different fans. I'm not saying I'm right and Joe's wrong, or he's right and I'm wrong, but we see the game totally different. I seen them blitzing those guys in man coverage and us getting cooked, as opposed to, hey, let's play a little more match look with some zone underneath, maybe a little double rat look, and let's take those checkdowns away. Or, God forbid, why don't we try to play a little something different and bend to the side of George Pickens, right? If you could bend to the side of George Pickens and allow that corner on that side, if you're playing a cover 6 and you put the 4 on Pickens' side, what that allows you to do is it allows Valentine and these guys to not have to play over the top technique, and they can dive bomb underneath on those comeback routes that Pickens was hitting us with. And what I mean by that is, if you come out in a cover 6 look, which we ran a little bit less of this year than we did last year, if you run a cover 6 and half the field's cover 4, half the field's cover 2. If you put the cover 4 side on Pickens, let him dictate the coverage. We knew that was the only, and we didn't even call him a Tuesday player, but we knew that was pretty much the only guy that was going to be able to cook you, right? Ferguson's dink and dunk, his stats are very, very misleading underneath. But if you put the 4 on Pickens' side, now what it allows you to do is the safety that's on that cover 4 side. Let's say, remember Valentine having to play off post snap and allowing those comebacks? It's because he was in a cover 3 look or cover 1 man, where his responsibility is you cannot get beat over your outside shoulder sideline deep, right? So if you come out in that cover 4 or that cover 6 with the 4 side, now what you can do is he can dive bomb underneath, and that safety is helping you over the top. Even if they go trips and Trey right, if they cook you with the number 3 corner on a cover 2 side of a cover 6 look, I can live with that. But allowing the same guy to beat you over and over and over again, why did that happen? Because we were blitzing in the middle, and he was having to play over the top technique to basically remove that explosive play. And Dak was just getting the ball out a split second early, and you guys know how I feel about it. I feel like there was a lot of holding going on. That was the big difference maker in those particular plays. So,
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. United Bates says, Jen, I'm seeing Matt LaFleur is 3-3 after the bye week, 4-5 if you include the playoffs after the first round bye. So he's sitting right at about 500 there. So not horrible, obviously. There's some coaches that can't coach themselves out of a paper bag coming out of the bye. And there's others that are dominant. I remember Belichick being really dominant during his run because he had that extra week of preparation. So, but yeah, appreciate you looking that up. Bates, you are the man. On the Cincinnati Bengals side, Jamar Chase limited. Dylan Fairchild, guard, did not participate. BJ Hill, defensive tackle, was full participation. Charlie Jones and Lucas Patrick. That name sound familiar? Mm-hmm. Both of those guys were limited. Drew Sample, tight end, did not participate with the ankle. And then Shamar Stewart with the ankle was limited as well. So it seems like they're quite a bit healthier than us, but of course not on this list is the main guy, Joe Burrow, right? And we're going to be playing Joe Flacco, obviously. So we'll see how that goes for sure. But anything else on the injury report before we get into the PFF preview, guys?
Is Dylan Fairchild? I think he's either a rookie or a early.
He's young. Player. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Is he a starter? Do you know? Because I know that they have already kind of been banged up, and I thought that I remember seeing that they were like one of the, if not the worst, pass blocking group in the league. And I'm just curious if that would mean that they're down Dylan Fairchild, and I don't think Patrick was a starter, but
Dylan Fairchild was the 81st overall pick, so he was a third-round pick this year, and he is his grade is a 45.1. Looks like he started all 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then Lucas Patrick, he's got the double star, right? So he's in the 21-day window. So he's probably just seeing the field again too. So yeah, that's crazy. And then Jamar Chase being on there is hilarious. That's just a rest day, right? Yeah.
He's just taking it easy.
Yep.
So all right. Good deal, man. So there you go. There's your injury update, like I said, and your Christian Watson update. Let us know in the comments what you think if you're watching this video back later. And let us know, do you think they should keep Christian Watson out there? Do you think they should hold him out? Should they play that conservative? Same thing with Devontae Wyatt. We want to hear from you in the comments. And make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, let's get into the PFF preview. And again, we covered this first screen pretty extensively yesterday. We're just going to spend a split second on it. The line, obviously, it opened up at, let's see, where did it open? It opened at 14.5. It moved to 14. Then it came back to 14.5 and went back to 14. So you can see it's kind of hovering around those two numbers. It is back up to 14. It looks like it's changed 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly 5 times since the line opened. So it looks like it's settled in right now at 14 points. And just so you guys know, if there's people that are not big gamblers that are listening to this, all this means is the initial line that dropped, right? That's how Vegas seen this game. And then the money that pours in after that, the public kind of dictates which direction the line moves in. I like to focus on the overall money as opposed to the bet percentage. And the reason being is the big money, the sharp money, is typically more telling in that percentage of the overall money, which 59% of the money is on the Bengals plus 14. All right. Now, when you go to the money line itself, which means winning outright, you'll see 80% of the money is on the Packers in that regard, with 95% of the bets being on the Packers. So what I typically like to do is take that percentage and find a good happy medium in between the bet percentage of the money line and the percentage of the money overall. So I would put this closer to an 85% type thing here. So again, any given Sunday, anything can happen, right? But let's go to the lineups here. And let's start on offense and let's go against their nickel. Okay, so let's see how we can attack this defense here, guys. Let's go through the Packers grades real quick, just across the entire board. Starting on the offensive line from left to right, Rasheed Walker, 57. Aaron Banks, 38, albeit minimal snaps. We know he's been injured all year long. He hasn't been healthy yet. Hopefully this is the first game we'll see him healthy. Elton Jenkins, a 59. He's the 27th highest graded center right now. Right guard, they're showing Sean Ryan at a 53.5. I've been pretty vocal. I would love to see Kennard out there starting. And then Zach Tom, if he does return, his grade is a 59.5, albeit, he's been banged up, and that's minimal snaps there as well. So that's how the offensive line shakes out. When you go to their defensive front, Trey Hendrickson, 86.5, the 11th highest graded edge defender. Then you got Osai, I guess is how you say it, or Osai, 50.4. BJ Hill, 60.1. And then the opposite side, they've got Shamar Stewart listed as the starter here, although he's had minimal snaps, 69.6 as a rookie. So let's go around the horn with that and start there. Tim, what do you think about our offensive line against their defensive front?
Well, Shamar Stewart was just on that injury report, right? Dealing with an ankle injury or something like that. Yep. So these guys are banged up, whether they're going to go or not. They're not going to be 100%. Obviously, your main concern is Trey Hendrickson, right? And I don't know how much they move him, how much he moves around on that line, if he would switch sides if necessary or anything like that. But Rasheed Walker is going to have his hands full against Hendrickson, and I think that's right. When I look at our line, I'm looking at the left side of that line, and that's my initial reaction. I think though, if we can. Stick to a decent game plan where we try to balance the run and the pass, and we can get the ball out quick, much like you were saying Dallas did to us, in that overtime thriller. I think we'll be okay. But Hendrickson is one of those guys that, if you're not careful, he's gonna get his. So that's my initial concern. I'm with you too. I'd like to see maybe them shake some things up with the starters here on this O-line, depending on how everyone is injury wise, going into this weekend.
Yeah, outside of Hendrickson here, Jacob, it feels like this could be a get right game for the offensive line. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also I'm still a little nervous and gun shy because I feel like when we played teams like the Browns, when we knew, quote unquote, hey, we just got to focus on Myles Garrett, got to take away Myles Garrett. It feels like that we almost over corrected to the point where we only focused on Myles Garrett and the rest of the guys ended up eating. And we talked about how BJ Hill and Stewart are on that injury list. Well, so was Tom, Banks, Walker, and a few others from the offensive line. So I'm a little more worried that we're just not going to be up to snuff as far as being healthy and ready to go. But that being said, I think that on paper, when you look at this, for sure, you got to take care of Hendrickson, and the rest of them are kind of, I don't want to say that they're gimmies or anything like that. Like you said, this game is screaming trap game completely. It really is, for a whole bunch of different reasons. And I just don't want us to fall victim to trying to think that we got it in the bag before we go out there and put it on the field.
Let's get out there and establish a run game for once this year.
Yes,
run the damn ball, keep it on the ground, commit to it.
I got to stay off Twitter, Tim, because when I see he's not aggressive enough, I'm going, God, can we please just stick with the run for 2 seconds here? You know what I mean? Yep. Let's establish the run. And don't get it twisted, guys. This defensive line, this defense for Cincinnati is nothing like Cleveland. Nothing like Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland is a dominant defense. They are solid. I think they're the #1 rush defense in the entire league right now. And obviously Dallas's run defense wasn't that bad either. They were 7th going into that game, and we were able to run the ball pretty effectively. If you can neutralize Hendrickson here, I think this might be a Josh Jacobs game. I don't know what his over-under is, Jacob, but that's one I would look at him and maybe Emmanuel Wilson as those might be 2 guys to have a ball game against this for sure. So, and when you look at their linebackers, since we're talking running game, well, first of all, Josh Jacobs, some people think he's having a down year. He's the 10th highest graded running back in the league at a 76.1. And then Jordan Love at 82.6. We kind of talked about him already. And their linebacking core out of their nickel, they got Knott Jr. and Wilson. Knott Jr. 46, Wilson 56. What do you got, Jacob?
Yeah, no, just Josh Jacobs over under right now is 79.5 rushing yards. Jordan Love's 7.5 rushing yards.
Overs. Smash the
overs. I would hammer the over for Love for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me, Tim, about taking the over for Josh Jacobs is if this does go as most people are predicting it to go, and you get up to an early lead, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they start to get into the backfield a little bit and get Chris Brooks some carries, get Emmanuel Wilson a little more carries. I could see that, but then again, you might find yourself in a damn dogfight like it's been the last few weeks, So
absolutely.
Yeah. I definitely take the over on Love, like Jen Wright's saying there too, for sure. So when you look at the linebackers, right, and how weak those are, Tucker Kraft, this kind of feels like a big game for Tucker. And you said, what was it, roughly 45?
43.5 at the moment.
43.5 yards. I feel pretty good about taking that over right there, boys, because this is a bad pass defense. And again, you look, safeties are the strong point. You got Geno Stone back there. I think that's who it is, Geno Stone. Let me see it. Yeah, Geno Stone. So Geno Stone is grading out a 66.1. Battle is grading out a 66. And you think those aren't great grades, Clayton? Right. Look at the corners. Taylor Britt, 55. Hill, 63. And then Turner, 60. So
the safeties are working overtime, backing up those corners, man. Holy cow!
What's Love's over under, Jacob, for passing yards? Any idea there?
I believe it was 239.5.
Okay, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
It might go back to what I was just telling Tim though. If you got a big lead, maybe you just press into the run and go that route, but. Other than that, I would feel pretty good about taking the over there with Love for sure. When you look at our receivers now, they're grading out right now. Dobbs is a 63.1, Golden's a 60.9, and Dontavion Wicks is a 64.5. Again, we'll see if Christian plays. I don't know, man. To me, it just feels like this might not be the week, but we'll see how that shakes out as well. What's Savion's over under?
They don't have that listed yet. The only 3 receivers they have is Dobbs at 40.5. Tucker at 43.5 and Golden at 46.5. Usually as they get closer to the game, they'll start throwing out a little more obscure players that don't, have a lot of snaps.
Matthew Golden could hit that over on one snap.
I know, dude.
And as you say that, Tim, I'm sitting there thinking that seems a little low for Dob. I could see Dobby having a, pulling that out of the water too. So it'll be interesting, man, for sure. Anything else you guys want to hit on in terms of the Packers offense against the Bengals defense here? You got anything else?
Yeah, did I mention establish the damn run?
The only thing I was going to say is I want to see more Emmanuel Wilson. I feel like every time we give this guy the ball, he gets us 5 yards, no matter what. And sometimes it's more like 8 or 9 or 10. And I'd like to see a little more sugar, a little more lightning and thunder, a little shake and bake, if you will.
Little Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
What's do you have an over under for Josh Jacobs receiving yards, Jacob?
They don't have Josh Jacobs receiving yards at the moment.
Got it. That's when it kind of feels like with them having a bad pass defense, maybe they'll play off. They'll kind of play everything conservative, and you could just dink and dunk like you did against the Cowboys underneath. That could be the case there as well. So, all right. I like this right here. Jen Wright, Golden gets his leap this week. That's what I need to see. I need to see Golden up in the crowd. Yeah. All right. So there you go. There's your Packers offense against the Bengals defense. I guess we could take one quick look at 12 versus base. Let's do that. Musgrave's up to a 59.6 now. And then obviously when they go to their 4-3 base, you get Oren Burks in there, boys. 66.
Here's a guy.
So, yeah. That's who's going to be stepping in as their Sam backer in their base 4-3. I'd like to see us just press into 11 personnel a little bit, keep things spread out. We did it in the second half last week, and things really opened up. Don't get too cute with the condensed sets in the 12 and 13 personnel. Let's open things up and spread the defense out. Everybody's going to be worried about Jordan Love. Jordan Love's off to a fast start, so I would like to see them spread things out and run the rock, like I said last week. So, all right. Let's move along to defense now. We'll go our nickel against their 11 personnel. Look who it is, boys. It's Joey Flacco, 60.2, the 30th highest graded quarterback in the league. The running back they got listed as Brown at a 53.6. Boy, Chase Brown been cheeks. He been absolute cheeks at 53.6. So if that is their number one running back, that's a rough look for them. Offensive line from left to right, Brown Jr., 57, Fairchild, 45, Karras, center, 49, Rivers, right guard, 43, and Mims, right tackle, 50. That is ugly. That is really – we thought our line looked ugly on PFF grades. My God, that looks hideous. So when you look at our defensive line, Micah Parsons, the second highest graded edge rusher, 92.7. Carl Brooks in the middle at a 54. Devontae Wyatt, obviously, probably not going to be playing in this game. I'd be very, very surprised if he makes his appearance in this game. Of course, he's listed as 72.6. It shows you why they scored, I think, on 5. They scored 5 touchdowns, Dallas did, once he went out of the game. Yeah. They didn't score any while he was in the game. And then Rashawn Gary grading out a 69.6. Last I heard, I want to say he was top 3 in sacks, even though we didn't play last week. So we'll see if he continues up his hot streak. What do y'all think about the trenches matchup there between the Browns and the Packers?
Multi-sack game for Micah Parsons. I just have a feeling. And then my next reaction is, who do you guys think is going to be the answer, with Wyatt not being in there? Do you think they shift some guys around, start LVN? What is the approach? Are we going to go with, Colby Wooden?
I think where they play so much 11 personnel, Tim, I think you're going to see a lot of cheetah package. So I think what you're going to see in Wyatt's place is a lot of LVN this week. I really do. I hope that's the case. Cool. So that'd be my answer. What about you, Jake? What's your answer there?
That's what I would hope. I mean, I really do think that gives us a different, even on, if it's not necessarily, correct me if I'm wrong, but is a cheetah package more usually designed for like a 3rd and long or like a 2nd and long type situation to get those guys out there? But I really do feel like LVN can do enough where that it could work in short yardage situations if we have to do it in a pinch. I also like what Brooks and Wooden have done this year, how they've progressed. The PFF grade isn't hot for both of them right now, but I do think that they're playing a little bit better than maybe what that grade dictates. And I don't know if we can just absolutely try to get in, like, I like what you said, Tim. Something feels like Parsons, he wanted to have, like Amelia said last night, he wants to put that trophy on the wall. He wants to hang that he's sacked Joe Flacco, and apparently he still hasn't. So he gets another shot at that. I don't see him as a type of player that's going to, not use that opportunity. And then to get Gary in there as well. Like I want Gary to be leading the league in sacks. I mean, it would just make me, I'd have a smile from ear to ear.
For sure. I think Brooks could prove to be the X factor though, if we get a hell of a game out of Carl Brooks, which I feel like he's due, he's there. PFF grade isn't there, but like you said, I don't know, man. I think cheetah package or not, which obviously is going to, play to the advantage of Micah getting that sack on Flacco that he's looking for. But I'd like to see Carl Brooks have a hell of a game. That would really help stabilize things in the middle, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And to Jacob's point, where he said that's more of a pass rush package, the Browns are, in terms of rushing yards per carry, they are 24th in the league at 3.9. So if there's a game where you can feel, and LVM plays the run pretty well. So if there's a game where you feel comfortable, all right, let's march.
You said Browns, you mean Bengals?
Or Bengals. Yeah, I apologize.
That's kind of what Deadfish was saying here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me double check that, because I did have that cross up. Cincinnati is actually 31st. Thank you for pointing that out, Jake. They're 31st at 3.1 yards per carry. So this, you shouldn't go out there with any worry of, well, should we play LVN at 3 tech even though it's not a pass rush situation? This will be the game to maybe see if he can do it, kind of on a dominant basis. So Coach Lynn says he would want to see Wooden step up again. That would be awesome. Absolutely. Which I'm going to pull up another tab on the side here. I want to kind of cross-check these, because some of these guys, obviously, they're not showing in the starting lineup, but I want to be able to give you guys grades on them to see exactly how they do grade out. Kobe Wooden as opposed to Carl Brooks, and both of them are lined up predominantly in the 1 tech in our nickel 4-2-5. You've actually got Kobe Wooden is grading out a 62.9, so significantly better than Carl Brooks as it sits right now. Nazir Stackhouse, I know people want to see him, 38.3, man. I think you need to kind of take a step back and go, okay, let's sit back and learn a little bit, big fella, because this ain't working out right now,
Yeah. But this could be one of those games, like you said, with Cincinnati's O-line, man, right? Like, if you get a lead, maybe you get him some reps out there,
And LVN, a 73.3 on the year. His run defense grade 68.1. So that's the way I would like to see him go, is just let him play 3 tech. Wherever you would play Wyatt typically, just let LVN go out there and play that. And then if you're worried about, okay, what about the edge rotation? Enigbare's playing pretty good football as well. You got Enigbare right now. It's grading out as a 72.6. So let him be that rotational edge defender, and let LVM focus on 3 tech, and you'll probably call up Warren Brinson for depth. So it's going to be Carl Brooks, Kobe Wooden, LVN with the 3 tech rotation, and obviously those other 2 guys playing 1 tech. You don't want to see LVM playing 1 tech unless you're playing a jam front. You'd be okay with that because he can handle that interior that way, because there's extra help, obviously, on the line of scrimmage. Moving on to the linebackers here.
Real quick, Clayton. Nat So Cool was wondering if you could just quick shout out what Xavier's ranking is. We can't. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 60.1 is what McKinney's is. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll get to the safeties here in just a second, too. We'll kind of break it all down. So their tight end Sample, right? Cheeks his whole career, and he's playing the worst football he's ever played, according to PFF, right? So obviously not overly concerned with him. Our linebacking core, Edgerrin Cooper, 73.8. Quay Walker, 63.2. Solid. That's starting caliber linebacker play from your stack backers in your nickel 4-2-5. Like the matchup there a lot, especially against the run as well. I mean, there's nothing that you look at here from PFF standpoint that you go, in a little bit of trouble there. It looks like they're going to have to double team Parsons, right?
Yep.
Which is going to give Gary plenty of opportunity to eat. If they double team Parsons and they chip Gary, LVN is in the 3 tech. If he is in the 3 tech, he should be able to dominate his matchup. They got to kind of pick their poison. I don't see any reason to get overly aggressive blitzing these linebackers this week, man. Just play this thing. Let them play aggressive at the mid level. But don't get crazy giving them opportunities by blitzing them. We did it against Flacco. Remember when we played the Browns, Tim?
Yeah,
I got so frustrated on Chalk Talk because it's like, why are we blitzing Flacco right here? Why are we doing this? Like,
why were we running so much cover 1 man at Flacco? Also was like mind-boggling to me. So, and it's on tape. Maybe this could play to our advantage, guys. Actually, we understand what we did wrong in that Cleveland game, and now we get Joey Flacco again here with probably an even worse offensive line in front of him than he had in Cleveland. I think it's an opportunity that you're right. If you play aggressive when you need to, and then, stay fundamentally sound, you shouldn't give up too many deep balls, and you shouldn't give up too many chunk runs. You should keep everything in front of you. And honestly, I think, it depends on what Cincinnati's approach is going to be. I will say this. I get a little nervous about not nervous, but Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are still on the field, and they've got a quarterback who knows how to get the ball to a receiver. So I would anticipate anything they try to do over the air is going to be fast, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And to your point, Clayton, your middle linebackers need to be able to be aggressive in the middle and not be washing themselves out of a play because you're trying to rush 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah. And as Six-ish says here, I'm not extremely confident. I'm not sold on a win. Nobody should be 6. Hopefully everybody's learned their lesson by now. That's the big thing here. Now let's talk about the Tuesday player in Chase. Chase is a respect orange. It feels like when you retake a test. Jamar Chase, 76.8. He's the 16th highest graded wide receiver. This is your Tuesday player. He and T. Higgins is kind of a borderline Tuesday player on offense. Trey Hendrickson's your Tuesday player on defense, obviously. So Jamar Chase, 76.8, guys, throughout his career, 85.3, 83.9, 85.3, 85.8, 76.8. The numbers would suggest he's going to take a step forward, right? Not necessarily this game, but as the season goes along. But those numbers that are inflated, for the most part, have also had Joe Burrow as his quarterback. That's a big difference there, right? And Flacco played like cheeks last week, the last time he started for the Browns, which was the week before last, I think it was. He looked really, really bad. I can't remember what team was it. It was the Lions that beat him, right? I couldn't tell you how many passes he just missed. Absolutely. I'm just thinking, boy, I'd love to have that against the Packers, where he was just missing open throws from time to time. But Jamar Chase, he's going to get his. Just don't let him beat you for the explosive plays. Make him work underneath. Make Flacco become check down Charlie. Don't give up those deep passes for sure.
Absolutely. Hopefully we keep McKinney out of the box. Stop buzzing him down in the box. Let's let him stay home and do what he does this week. Because that's a not a concern. Well, it is a concern. I mean, it's their best offensive player, right? Jamar Chase. So I think you want to keep McKinney and Williams, well into the secondary just in case. Again, keep everything in front of you.
Yeah, and the big difference between the Packers defense this year and last year, in my opinion, just schematically, is last year they played a lot more cover 6 defense, and McKinney was one of those deep quarters, and that's how he was getting those picks, right? He was in the box, and then he was falling back out and picking passes off. Hopefully they go that route this week, and like I said, keep that cover 4 of the cover 6 over on Jamar Chase's side for sure. And Coach Lynn said Buzz Williams down. Completely agree. Because you're not overly concerned with the run. That could change. We talk about there's 3 phases of the game every week, right? The first quarter, you're collecting information. What are they doing? Does your game plan line up with what you've seen on tape? Are they sticking to what works for them here in the past? The last 4 games saturation +2. Is that the route they're going? The second quarter is all about adjusting to what they did, right, or did not do, and controlling the middle late. And then the fourth quarter is a standalone game, right? So buzz the box with Evan Williams and don't be overly concerned with the run. Make sure that when they come out in their 2x2 set and they like to run a slot cross concept or a drive concept, make sure you've got whoever's buzzing the box bending and cheating towards wherever Jamar Chase typically is numbers wise. It might be 63% of the time he's a dig on a drive concept. If that's the case, then make sure you got that dig covered and make them beat you left-handed. It's playing the Belichick bullseye defense without playing man coverage bullseye defense, essentially. So Higgins. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying this is going to be a massive test for our corners. If Nate Hobbs is the dog that I think he is, he's going to have a full workload. Same thing with Keyshawn, dealing with T. Higgins as well. And I'm sure we will see some rotation. I'd like to see Valentine on the field and maximize his opportunities when he's out there as well. But if we get good cornerback play, at least, good in the sense of I don't care if you're, allowing a completion in front of you and wrapping a guy up right away. And, we just keep playing fundamentally sound. It's like you said, getting beat over the top. Can't have any of that because that could be the difference in a game like this. One explosive play could just change everything. Yeah.
Coach Lynn in the chat said, love that breakdown by quarter. Clay, where did you hear that? That is Bill Belichick 101. Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi 101. And it's my understanding it originally came from Bill Walsh. And listen, I'm the president of the Matt LaFleur fan club, right? I think he's a great schemer. I think he's a great offensive coach. I think his players love him. I think they'll go to bat for him because he breaks out the strap every now and again. But the big thing with LaFleur, what LaFleur is missing, in my opinion, are those aspects of the game. Like, he is really I would grade Matt LaFleur on his offensive play calling and his offensive game planning over the course of his career. I'd give him a minimum of an A, maybe even an A+. But when it comes to managing the middle eight, I'm telling you, man, a D+ at the most. It's really bad. And that's why the answer to me isn't, well, we got to fire out the floor and start all over. That's just mind-boggling that there's some fans that feel like that. To me, the answer to that question, okay, how do you fix that? That coach needs a coach. He needs to hire a senior advisor to come in. And that's not named Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia's already got this is not what Rich Bisaccia is doing as the assistant head coach, right? And this isn't a dig against Bisaccia. Bring in somebody to help Matt with those situations, right? To kind of pull the reins back a little bit. Now, Matt's got to be willing to lower the ego and ask for that. And I'm telling you, man, if you go back and study Bill Belichick, guys, I spent the last decade studying Bill Belichick. I know people hate his guts. I could care less. He's the greatest coach at the NFL level in the history of the game, in my opinion. Okay. What did he do different than the other coaches? He had a guy by the name of Ernie Adams that was his right-hand man. And he had Ernie Adams with him in Cleveland. And when Art Modell fired Bill Belichick when he moved the team to Baltimore, Art Modell was being a smartass. He made a comment one time, and he said, I'll give the first person $1,000 that could tell me exactly what Ernie Adams does, right? He had no clue how Belichick operated. Ernie Adams is that dude that's in Belichick's ear. He's got a direct channel to Belichick when he was in New England. Hey, Ernie, what do you think about this? Or Ernie would chime in and say, hey, Bill, here's the percentages on going for it for 2 here, or going for it on 4th down. Or, hey, look for this. Let me give you another example. Go back to the Super Bowl where the Patriots beat the Seahawks. Remember the interception in the end zone?
Yep.
All the media and all the fans portrayed it as, what a knucklehead play by Pete Carroll not running Marshawn Lynch there. Well, you know why they threw the ball there? Because it was going to give them the maximum amount of time left to be able to take 3 shots at the end zone, and you're probably going to run the other 2 times, right? They come out in a stack look right? And they thought, we're going to beat them here. They're going to run a little rub route, and it's just going to be a quick slant. Do you know that the week leading up to that, they said Ernie Adams was combing through the tape for Seattle all year long. And I think he had to go back to like week 4 or week 5 earlier in the year, and he found that stack look and walked through it in practice for New England because Ernie Adams found it. He drew up the play card for the practice sheet. Hey, guys, we need to practice this. Malcolm Butler all week long did not stop it at all. And I think it was Brandon Browner was the guy who was supposed to be playing the other side, or the other, Malcolm Butler was supposed to jam and Browner was supposed to shoot. What if you guys are wondering what a stack look is? The receivers are directly over top of each other, and one's going to go out and rub the defender, and that guy's going to fire a slant. And the goal is to create separation between both corners, whether it's man or zone, and they fire that slant in there. Well, you got one guy who's supposed to jam the jammer into the receiver, and the other guy shoots. Well, right before the play started, Brandon Browner told Malcolm, and he probably thought it hasn't worked for Malcolm Butler all week long in practice. He told him, switch with me. You're going to shoot. And sure enough, ball snapped. Browner was a bigger corner. He jammed it, shot his shot, picked the pass off. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Why do I say that? That was Ernie freaking Adams. We need an Ernie Adams on this coaching staff that's going to be in Matt's ear and coaching him along. Let me give you another example real quick. Bill Parcells, right? And I can never remember his name. Bates has to look it up for me every time I've mentioned this on this show over the last couple of years. But Bill Parcells had a personal coach. The same exact thing. Where do you think Bill Belichick got that idea from? He got it from Bill Parcells, his mentor, when he was coming up through the coaching game. Parcells had a guy, I want to say his name was Mickey something. All right. Mickey Cochran, I think was his name.
Yep, Mickey Cochran.
Yep, there you go. Or Corcoran or something like that. But anyway, he took him everywhere he went. When he coached at the Giants, he had Mickey with him. When he went to the Jets, he had Mickey with him. When he went to Dallas, he had Mickey with him. Mickey was his high school basketball coach. Why? What the hell does he know about football? Parcells knew I need somebody to keep my ego in check, keep me in line. I need a coach's coach. Now, guess who Mickey Corcoran's high school basketball coach was? Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. I was just going to
Shut up. No way.
and that's a great point because it's so true. A great coach, it's almost like the game. The sport is almost irrelevant. You can bring value to a team and to an organization if you understand how to coach. And Vince Lombardi was always a great example of that, right? Coach baseball, coach basketball, and obviously coached a little football too, right?
Bro, they said Lombardi took over a basketball coach. He never coached basketball in his life. He bought a book that some great basketball coach wrote on how to coach basketball, and then he led him to a state championship or something. That high school team never coached before in his life. He's just a good teacher. Good teachers make good coaches, right? And then you're going, what the hell's this got to do with T. Higgins? I have no idea. But T. Higgins is a 66.6.
Great photo, though, man. What a photogenic guy, right? Look at that.
Beautiful smile on that guy.
Yeah, look at that.
So, nice hairline.
Yeah, clean hairline, not like the Matthew Golden on Madden, right? Remember that one?
Exactly right. Exactly. But T. Higgins, I want to say this, Jacob, 66.6. Can't overlook this, dude. 6'4", 219. If you're going to bend, let me give you the downside of this. If we're going cover 6 and putting the cover 4 side over Jamar Chase, guess what that means? The cover 2 side is over Higgins.
Right.
Got to be careful with that. Got to be real careful.
Yep.
So. Yeah, they definitely have a double-edged sword there, a two-headed monster, if you will, 2 human meat missiles that we have to absolutely stop. If you had to pick, I know it doesn't work like this, but if you maybe had to select a defender that you'd like to maybe play predominantly against T in one verse against Jamar, which one of our cornerbacks, I guess, style would you think matches up with those receivers? Does that make sense?
I think Keyshawn's going to make T. Higgins have a long.
That's what I was thinking too. I would love to see that, and then maybe have Hobbs go a little more kind of that perimeter area.
Just keep in mind though, our corners don't travel, right? So they're going to be they're going to be dictating who's going up against what corner, right? So if they decide to isolate Higgins on one side and put Chase with the bunch set or the tray set or the trip set on the other one there in 11, then obviously Higgins might get his fair share of targets.
Yep.
I don't see a scenario where they would put them together, although if they look up and they see they're playing 2% more cover 1 man than they have in the past, maybe they want them on the same side of the field where you can get some rubbing going on there. So again, that's the main focal point of their offense. Their slot wide receiver, Los Savas, 56.9, nothing great there. And then of course we talked about the tight ends. So I think what it's going to come down to is make sure Chase and Higgins don't beat you. Maybe this is the week that we break out of quarters coverage too. That could deter them. If you come out in a lot of shell defense, being in 2 safeties on the shelf pre-snap, that's going to deter Flacco from taking those shot plays, whether you got a late rotation.
What about some of that?
Exactly. Man, let's see, if we had to pick one, put that back up there, Tim. If we had to pick one against this specific offense here, what would we like? I think what I would like.
Buzz.
See, I would
Buzz.
You're going Buzz. I would go
straight
Cloud.
B's. They called me Buzz.
I would go Cloud on the cover 3. And the reason being is you can play that safety deep and shade to Jamar Chase's side and eliminate him pre-snap. So maybe deter Joe Flacco from even looking his way. You know what I'm saying? Although I think there's going to come a point in this game where he's just going to say, F it. Chase is down there somewhere, right?
Yep.
And when he does, I hope McKinney's the guy that's
I was going to say the X factor will be in full effect if that happens.
Yeah.
I feel like that plays right into our hands. Like if you want to just chuck the ball down the field all day, more power to you.
Yeah. So when you look at our corners, Nate Hobbs, 68.4. People are raking him over the coals. I think he's playing pretty good football, man. He's still getting his legs under him too from the injury. Keyshawn Nixon is a legit number 1 corner this year to 74.2. He's been playing great. Got a coverage grade of 76.5. Was leading the league before the bye week in pass breakups. The big eyesore is Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard seems to have taken a step back.
You don't say that.
This is not just PFF, but when you watch the tape, you see it. His strength, we've talked about it time and time again, is playing the run fit. He's as good as any slot corner playing the run. I believe that with everything in me. The problem is slot corner's a guy to cover. That's why I would like to see, again, pull that cover 3 image back up for me real quick, Tim. If we do go with a cloud look, right? If we go cloud look, then what it allows the linebacker would be hook curl, the corner would be curl flat. On the opposite side of the cloud, you would probably have your boy Bullard playing the curl flat. I like it. This feels like a cloud game if we're going to be playing cover 3, boys. And what I mean by that is, like for instance, look at the sky look here on the left, right? In a cover 3 sky, the safety is attacking the curl flat. Imagine the slot corner being in the box. Forget the fact that that's a safety and him covering the curl flat. That is what Bullard is built to do. You know what I mean? When he's attacked the smoke screens and all that stuff. So anyway, thank you for pulling it up, Tim. Appreciate it. So Bullard struggling, but you guys know I've been pretty vocal. I would much rather see Hobbs in the slot and Valentine on the outside. That's just me personally. But Bullard's a second-round pick. They like him. And I tell you, man, when he flashes, though. No doubt about it. So
absolutely.
For just a second, though, can we get a little appreciation for Evan Williams? 72-3 is a rookie, and now he's a 73-1. Jake, we all jumped on board with the Javon Bullard train last year in the draft, right? We were like, that's our dude, that's our dude. They took Evan Williams a little later in the draft. We're like, okay, yeah, well, we got a little bit of depth, whatever. Thank God they took the second swing, right? This dude's a dog, man.
I mean, I'll go so far as to say I was obviously Javon Bullard fan club #1. I was more excited about Kitano Oladapo than I was over Evan Williams. And I think obviously a lot of fan base was on board with that. We talked about how he looked like a dog. He could make some big hits, some hit sticks, but I think me and you both are kind of overall consensus. It just doesn't seem like he can cover well. And we don't know if he can translate his type of play style to the NFL. Very happy that I was wrong a lot. Glad to be wrong about Evan Williams. Plus, it's just cool that like the drink, only spelled the same. I really, really like that. He's just a baller, man, and he just seems like he fits in with the city, with the community, the organization. I am just over the moon at just again. We go back. We've talked about it many times over the last few episodes or last season. Goody being able to absolutely flip the safety room from what it was being an absolute liability to being a freaking strong suit where we have guys sitting on the bench that could be possible starters for other teams is, I think, something that needs to be studied.
Yeah, and you'll notice here, Evan Williams, look at the majority of his snaps this year, guys. 157 snaps at free safety. That means post safety. He's playing deep, right? I imagine McKinney's going to have more box snaps. Let's see, though. Maybe he won't. Now, he's got 174 at free safety as well, 71 in the box. And if you go back to Williams has only 47 in the box. So, obviously, the math ain't math in there, PFF, but we'll go with it. Okay, you gotta trust the numbers. What the PFF fans say. So, with that being said, though, I think McKinney's going to be fine. I think they're steering clear of him. They've been doing it all year long, and really love the fact that Evan Williams said, "Okay, cool. You want to target me? You're going to pay." I love it, man. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
All right. Anything else here in terms of their offense against our defense? Anything I missed? Jacob, you got anything on the forefront of your mind? Any over-unders or anything with the Browns? Anything at all,
man? If you meant Bengals, no. I one thing that when you said
it's the Browns West here.
Yeah. When you said you were talking about how just you needed somebody to, like, for Coach LaFleur to have somebody maybe in his ear that kind of humbles him or whatever, it immediately made me think of a quote. And I was like, God, I can't remember what it was. It was from a story apparently that goes back to Marcus Aurelius, Roman, guy hired an assistant as he would walk through the Roman emperor in the towns and greeting the people in the town square. He hired an assistant. And his only role was to literally sit behind him and go, "You're only a man. You're only a man." As people were literally like throwing them and kissing his feet and like trying to just worship him. He literally had a guy that his only job was to remind him to, like, be humble, get your, keep your head square. And I think that was a great point you made. That's probably, and he's a young guy. We forget how young Matt LaFleur is. Like, right. He is just absolutely like it's crazy seeing. Like, I don't know about you guys, when I watch these guys on the TV, for whatever reason, I think it's just kind of weird.
Never know.
That perspective.
It might be.
You know what? There could be a few. My Nashville days, man, I hope that's true. I need some money.
I'd say my papa got some kids hovering around somewhere we don't know about. I probably got a couple siblings here or there. But what was I going to say? Was something? Oh, and I want to be clear about the Matt LaFleur thing too. I personally, Jacob, I don't think it's ego with Matt LaFleur.
No.
I think it's emotion. I think he gets so, like, damn it, I know my guys can. I know we can convert right here. I know we can get complete one more pass and ice this game. And that's where I'm mind boggled that some people think he's conservative as opposed to aggressive. And I could be wrong, man. I ain't above reproach in that aspect. I could be looking at it wrong, but I just kind of feel like for him, he needs someone just to bounce ideas off of here every now and again. More so during the week, right?
Yeah.
Then yes, it's important during the game too. But like Bill Belichick once said, people think that we're having these great drawn out conversations on the sideline because they were talking about him and Parcells were always at each other's throats. Parcells was about to kill LT. LT was about to kill Belichick. Belichick was about to kill the next guy. And he said, I love what Belichick said because he was raised in a military family. Stephen Belichick, his dad, was a military guy, right? Navy guy. And he was a football coach as well. He actually created, many people don't know this, but he created the grading system that dominates the NFL, right? Stephen Belichick actually created that player grading system. But he said what Belichick said about those situations with him and Parcells was, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're in the heat of the battle, you give an order and you take an order. There's no time to hash it out or have hard feelings or, he got mean with me. It ain't none of that. It's time to go. And you guys, I'm telling you, man, if you want to watch a great football doc, go to YouTube. It's worth the purchase too if you have to buy it. It's a 30 for 30 called Two Bills. And it's Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells. They finally get them to sit down together because as they describe in there, they were more friendly than friends, right? Because they butted heads along the way too. Damn, what a great conversation. I've seen it. I bet I've seen it 200 times. And if I ever catch it on TV, it's a remote drop. It's unbelievable. It's called Two Bills. Watch that. You'll learn so much about football in just that little doc there. It's wild. So anyway, I know people get tired of hearing Belichick on this particular program, but it's just like Michael Jordan in the 90s. I was too young. I loved basketball back then. That's when basketball was actually basketball and not this flopping around BS that you see today. But the thing about someone like Jordan or, Belichick being the greatest or even Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time, just insert someone, is when you've got the opportunity to learn from someone in real time that's the greatest at their profession, how big of an ego do you have to go, I don't like him. I ain't listening to anything they got to say. And well, he cheated. Yeah. You can find every single organization that's cheated along the way.
You ain't cheating. You ain't trying.
Yeah. When they deflated those balls, people forget about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers going, yeah, I actually like a little more pressure in our ball. And the Packers organization like, shut up, Aaron. Like he was overinflating the ball because he felt like it was harder for the defense to pick the pass off, harder to catch, right? Mm-hmm. And he had large enough hands that he could grip it and spin it and put that thing on a dime. So that stuff goes on. The Chicago Bears got caught one year filming practice. Nobody talked about it because the Bears sucked. They couldn't even win when they were cheating. But when the team that's cheating wins, you make an example of it, right? So anyway, anything else, boys? Anything else y'all want to hit on before we wrap up here? We could probably go another 12 minutes if y'all want to, but.
What do you got, Jacob? Anything on your mind?
Honestly, no. I mean, I'm just I saw a few people in the chat talking about how Edgerrin Cooper needs to have a little bit of a bounce back game. I did see some uncharacteristically kind of sloppy play from him in certain aspects. Missing a couple tackles in the backfield where he would have had a tackle for loss when it ended up, I believe, bouncing out and getting like an 11-yard run. I want for him to get it just feels like we need to have a get right game. And I'm a little bit nervous just because of the whole trap aspect that this kind of feels like Joe Flacco. I do think, though, like you talked about, Tim, that him having to come in and learn an offense and kind of put it all together, I think that the pendulum swings a little more in our favor for that. And I just think that Parsons is going to be absolutely salivating to just ruin Joe Flacco's debut in Cincy.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And I think that's going to free up guys like Coop to have a hell of a game, right? If you're talking about a bounce back game.
And Gary.
And Rashawn. But keep in mind, an off day, like we talked about this, an off day for Edgerrin Cooper is pretty damn good linebacking by NFL standards. There's guys that would love to put up the kind of numbers and, get graded the way he did. But, it's year 2. We have to remember that. Just because Coop, plays like a veteran, looks like he's been a pro for, 8 or 9 or 10 seasons already, doesn't mean he is. And, he's always improving, always getting better. But I think to your point, like, even like what Clayton was mentioning, let's not get overly aggressive. Let's rush 4 and get home. That being said, I think Mike is going to have a hell of a day, and then it should make things easier on Quay and Cooper back there, and McDuffie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you look at the PFF grade here for Cooper, PFF agrees with you, Jacob. Like, he's not playing as good as he did last year. And we talk about the sophomore slump. If his sophomore slump is a 73, sign me up, right?
Yep.
But let's cross-check this. We've hit on PFF quite a bit. We got a few minutes here. So I'm going to jump into NFL Pro real quick, and let's see how he's stacking up with the rest of the defense. If we show all players here on defense, leading the team in tackles is Quay Walker with 42. Edgerrin Cooper has 33. Let's talk about stops. In stops, Quay has 22, Edgerrin Cooper has 20. All right. Hustle stops, where you cover 20 yards of ground and make the stop. Cooper is leading the team with 8. Quay's got 6. All right. In that regard, Edgerrin Cooper's got a half sack. Quay doesn't have one yet, although we blitz Cooper more than we blitz Quay for sure. Let's see in pass defense here. Edgerrin Cooper has been targeted 22 times. He's given up 20 catches. Don't like that number. The rating is an 88.4. Quay Walker has been targeted 20 times, only given up 16 catches, but a lot more yards at 152 to Edgerrin Cooper's 115. So the rating for Quay is 115. That's because he gave up a touchdown there as well. So Quay's playing much better football this year. I'm really excited about that. I hope they can get him on a steal of a deal. That would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, even though Edgerrin Cooper's having a down year, he's still second on the team in stops, which is really cool. And look at Gary, right back to doing what he did last year in run stops.
Yep.
15 run stops. Now here, this is a perfect example.
Look at Bullard, though, too.
When you look at Micah Parsons' PFF grade, you go, he is dominating, right? Well, look at the run stops for Parsons, only 8. Gary has almost doubled his run stops, right? And when you look at run D snaps, Parsons has 44, so Gary only has 6 more snaps than him on run defense snaps, right? So Gary, a much better run defender than Micah Parsons. No surprise there. We talked about Micah's not a bad run defender. It's just not his superpower. But then when you look at sacks, Gary with 4.5, 2 of which came with Micah on the sideline. Micah's only got 2.5 sacks. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Look at the quarterback pressures. Gary only has 12 pressures. Micah has 26 pressures. His pressure percentage, let's just sort by that real quick. Pressure percentage on the team, Micah Parsons leads the way. Evan Williams has got 100%. He's only blitzed one time, evidently, and he hit home with the pressure. But 22.4% of the time, Micah Parsons is hitting home with pressure. Quay Walker, a stack backer, obviously is going to be a little bit inflated, 16.7. Baron Sorrell, 16.7%. So you look at the PFF grade for Sorrell and you go, he's playing bad football. Pressure percentage suggests otherwise at 16.7. Although, Tim, remember that last game we showed that running play where Baron Sorrell got caught peeking, didn't he? He got too aggressive upfield and gave up that explosive run. So
it may explain the lower snap count for him, 17 snaps. I mean, they're probably going to try and pepper him in stages here. You only learn by doing sometimes, right? So I think it's tough though. But yeah, if you're becoming a liability on the field in certain situations, then they're going to dial back those looks for you. But I fully think Baron Sorrell is going to progress really nicely. I do. I think he's a good player. It's just, I don't know. It's really tough at this point. But, with Wyatt being out, there's an opportunity here. You never know.
Yeah. The other thing, too, I want to point out, to the best of my knowledge, we're the only program that talks about this. You can tell when they're harnessing a pass rush to play the run. We've talked about the touch spy. We've seen it again last week on the tape. And when people were talking about last week, the most casual thing that I hear sports talk hosts talk about is, well, when they're double teaming Parsons, Gary's got to hit home. Well, if they're firing Parsons on a true pass rush and they're still focused on stopping the run, guess who's the edge defender who's staying at home to play the run a little bit safer? It's Gary.
Right.
If you didn't
maintain your edge.
Yes. If you didn't see the run stop numbers attached to Gary, I would be on board with that. Like, hey, he's got to play better. But you're seeing that's the game plan is they're turning Parsons loose and Gary's playing a little more of a controlled rush. He's still going after the quarterback, but he's making sure he's playing the run on his way to the quarterback. With Parsons, they're going, hey, dude, pin your ears back and go, And when they're double teaming you and you're pinning your ears back and going and you're not hitting home because they're double teaming you, on the other side, you're playing a conservative pass rush. You got to have somebody else hit home, and that should be LVN. And when you look at Lucas Van Ness, 12.8%, that's solid. I mean, that's a solid, again, pressure percent. We talked about last year. He was averaging the second half of the season a 15% pressure rate. He's now stabilized that at 12.8% pressure rate, which is solid. And then, of course, when you look at the stops, he's got 7 stops on 41 run defensive snaps. Got a hustle stop there as well. He's got a half sack and 11 total pressure. So LVN, boys, I'm telling you, man, I hope this might be a blessing in disguise with Wyatt getting banged up a little bit. Maybe they really press into LVN playing more 3-tech. That's what I think we should do. But what do you think about those numbers, Jacob? Anything you want to add there, man? Any other player you want to see any specific numbers on?
No, I just was going to ask because correct me if I'm wrong, kind of the metric that's out there is that anything above 10% is considered good, right? Anything more than that 12 to 15 is pretty damn good, and anything above that is pretty great.
Pretty elite, yeah.
When you look at Micah Parsons, obviously that's awesome. You look about Quay being a kind of off-ball backer there. Baron Sorrell, limited, and I should say limited, but a smaller amount of snaps. That's very encouraging, though. Obviously, you know what we got in Coop, but like you said, Lucas Van Ness, I would argue that he would probably have a higher percentage if he was predominantly playing more edge, but we do kick him inside so often that he probably has that number tamped down a bit. And to the same point, I think Kingsley maybe plays that role a little bit more like you were talking about when Gary's not in there. We have such a rotation where these guys as assignments aren't going to always be like the Parsons thing, go pin your ears back, just go. I feel like they're going to have a lot of these guys be a little more disciplined in the way that they are rushing the quarterback. We talked about that for multiple seasons now, how we were trying to stop the run just more predominantly. We didn't want, like Tim said, we want somebody that's a true edge setter. And I think that you can only do that with a certain type of people that bought into the scheme and understand what the coaches want from them. And I think Hafley is the perfect type of coach that he's not just barking at you and telling you what, he's telling you the why of what we're doing. Like they talk about how he's such a great teacher or such a great coach because he's a great teacher, and explaining to these guys what their purpose is. There he is. So I don't know. I just think that that's really cool. And it's really encouraging to see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 5 guys that are actually true pass rushers that are in that top echelon there. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah. Remind us what our defensive line coach's name, Tim.
What's that?
I said, remind us what our defensive line coach's name.
Oh, DeMarcus Covington, man, of course, and Coach Ogabasi as well too. Second season with us. This is yeah, man, and the Ball King all are doing great with these guys. And to Jacob's point, you brought up Kingsley Enagbare, and I remember that was a guy that we saw a lot of potential in, and we were concerned about him not maintaining the edge, breaking contain. Over pursuit, getting yourself washed out into the backfield on plays. We haven't seen that from him at all, really, this year. We've seen him kind of, like you said, buy into what Hafley's expecting of these guys, and I think he's playing a much better football there. So you're right. It's a testament to having such a good edge group that we've got guys that understand their roles, and what they're supposed to do. It's not what the average fan thinks it is. Believe it or not, all of those guys are not trying to sack the quarterback on every play. You have responsibilities and jobs to do. And it's nice to see our young players that are, growing into their NFL careers here, and they're fully enveloped in what is expected of them within this scheme and in certain down and distance situations. And I think Enagbare is one of those guys that, we talked about. We don't know. Is he going to be a Packer next year? Who knows? But he's playing great football for us now when we need him to situationally. And it just makes things easier for us up there.
And he's the only player on this list that's got negative yards allowed. Enagbare, negative 2 yards allowed. Pretty wild statistic there. The other thing I want to point out here real quick, and we'll wrap up. Carl Brooks, right? His pressure percentage is 6.3%. His PFF grade was in the 50s, right? Now, rewind back to last year. Kenny Clark playing the 1-tech for us, right? His pressure percentage was one of the lowest on the team. His PFF grade was in the dumps. Kenny Clark leaves, goes to Dallas. PFF grade jumps up. Pressure percentage jumps up. Why? Touch spot. It's exactly what they got Carl Brooks doing this year, is the touch spot. So, again, it's selfless. And if these guys that, however the hell they get, the ability to host a sports talk show on Packer football is just mind-boggling to me. That they don't even realize, they don't even see, they don't take the time to study it and understand, all right, what's the pass rush actually doing? What are they trying to accomplish on any particular play? When you see those guys come out in a wide 4, like a double 4 and a double 9, get ready. They're bringing the thunder, right? Yeah. But when you see a guy in a 1 and a 3, typically that one, most of the time it's a one, sometimes it'll be the three. One of those two guys are going to touch and spy. They're going to try to get hands on two blockers, get a +1 hat count, protect against the run, take away the scramble lane for the quarterback as well. You'll probably see a little bit less of that this week with Joe Flacco. Last week, you've seen it a lot with Dak Prescott, who took that thing and run. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. That should be it, guys. I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover.
Can I hit a couple stupid chats real quick?
Did we miss some super chats?
No. I said some stupid chats.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Joel for this will understand. Joel for this says, spread the word that Half's favorite cereal is plain Cheerios with lukewarm water. Maybe it'll make him keep him. And then Bates says, and he puts the water in before the cereal.
Is there anybody here, Tim? Do you put the milk in before the cereal? Or do you put the cereal before the milk?
No, cereal before the milk, always.
Same, man. Same.
Yeah, I'm old school. With way too big of a bowl than I should be having, of course.
Man, I'll tell you, I don't eat much cereal these days, but boy, oh boy, when I do, it slaps. It takes me back. It takes me back to 8 years old, sitting in the floor. My mom and dad had that floor model television set. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Boys?
Oh, yeah.
Watching Roadhouse on a Saturday morning. My God, it ain't better than that, man.
You were the remote control back in those days, right?
Oh, you kidding me?
Turn that TV up. Change the channel.
I'm telling you, man. And we had one of those old school TVs where you just had like 12 channels, right?
Yep, clicking it.
Pole like that. And, that knob would wear out and you'd have to catch it right in between because it had to, you know what I'm talking about? You had to get the channel just right.
Yep.
Dad be cussing you, smoking his Marlboro Reds. Like, Jesus. So, hearing the cereal hit the bowl. Yeah. Man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite cereal, boys? Let's piss some viewers off real quick. What's your favorite cereal? Yeah, if you don't know right offhand, then you ain't got one. You got one.
It's Berry Kicks.
I'm Golden Grams all day.
Golden Grams. Lucky Charms is a close second.
Yeah. For me, man, it's them Fruity Pebbles, bro. Or the Dino Bites.
The Dino Bites.
Oh, yeah. Malto meal? Hell yeah.
For those of y'all that was eating on Uncle Ep there, you know what I'm talking about? That EBT, baby. Uncle Ep taking care of it. We had the old school food stamps. Give me those Dino Bites, man. Yeah. Mama say,
J. Cole says, Captain Crunch. If you want to rip the top of your mouth apart, sure, Captain Crunch.
Like doing on a chainsaw, right?
Yeah.
Good flavor, though. Good flavor. Yeah. Well, RFK putting in all this, ain't he? What the hell's his problem?
Yeah, get around us.
I'm like, man, there ain't nothing wrong with the cereal, RFK. Calm down. I walk in the
whoa.
walk in there for it. You know what I mean? I'm like, what am I doing in here? Maybe I got a touch of it. I don't know. But anyway. All right, that's it, guys. This show sucks. We're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow at probably 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. And we'll give you the latest injury report update. And I think what we'll do is go ahead and start diving into the game plan tomorrow. We'll give a specific game plan geared around how to beat the Bengals, not the Browns, the Bengals. So, as I said all night long. Tim, tell them about this awesome cause that we're raising awareness for here, man.
Yeah, we can't get out of here until we mention operationhorsesheal.org/how can I help. Make sure you guys donate. Each donation is a chance to win an autographed Romeo Dobbs jersey, but really the most important thing is the mission. I mean, we're helping out veterans and their families. Equine therapy is awesome. Bates will tell you all about it. If you ask him in the chat, he's done something like this similar once before. We're trying to raise money for Operation Horses Heal so that they can get a horse trailer and a truck so they can bring some of these equine programs right to veterans rather than having to get the veterans out to the property. So it gives them a chance to really expand their mission and what they're doing. And it's all about helping veterans, active duty, and their family members. So operationhorsesheal.org/how can I help. Make sure you donate today, man. We'd really appreciate it.
I think it's a great idea too, man, what they're doing there, because like there was a short stint where I was donating products to a veteran house. So it's basically homeless veterans. They put together an old house downtown here in Johnson City, which is about 15 minutes from where I live. And it was donated for veterans. So they set it up, stocked the house where these homeless veterans could come in and stay, get on their feet, and then, get their life turned around. And just the thought of one of those homeless veterans' homes, right, and them being able to bring the horses in to, that's really, really cool. So obviously being able to be mobile in that aspect with that charity is just a great thing. So just glad we can be a small part of it. So
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you for the Romeo Dobbs jersey for the giveaway, Clayton.
Dude,
Or thank Mandy. I should thank Mandy, right? She probably got
Mandy.
it from the auction, right?
Yeah.
I wake up every morning and go, "Can I have money today?" She's like, "Here's $10." So that's the way that works. But yeah, she's definitely purchased that. So, but that's the least we can do, man, to give back to the awesome veterans out there. So, yeah, make sure you guys check it out. And if you're watching on X, the easy way to get to that link is just go to my Twitter profile, my X profile, click on it. You'll see a tweet that's pinned at the top of the page, and I quote tweeted Tim. Just click on his tweet there, and you'll have the link right there. It's real easy to get in and donate and give yourself a chance to win a cool piece of memorabilia and give back to a great cause as well. So that's it, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
There we go. Bye, guys.